I'm Lizzy.
And I'm Izzy, and we need help.
Each week we stumble through a new book, method, or concept that brings us one step closer to being our best self.
Yes, we make fun of ourselves.
And others.
But mostly just ourselves. So here's to not taking self-help quite so seriously.
All right, welcome to We Need Help. I'm Lizzy.
And I'm Izzy, and today we have a very special guest, Laura Bender, who is a relationship guru to high-achieving women, which we are, I think.
Welcome, Laura.
Yay!
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy and grateful to be here, Lizzy.
Oh my gosh, we're so happy to have you. It took a while to get you on, but we got you.
Sure did. I had to figure out the earbuds and the schedule and all the things.
Well, we're all in really different places on the globe, so it took a little bit of time to get us ironed out there. What does it mean, a relationship guru to high achieving women?
Thank you for asking. Well, what it means is that I am a mind-body fitness expert. I'm a master meditation teacher. So the foundation of the coaching that I do is heavily rooted in spirituality. And of course, I've been a coach for over 30 years. So my jam has been high-achieving women and female experts like me my whole career. Yeah.
Okay. What sets high achieving women apart from just the regulars?
Desire.
Okay.
Desire.
I love that.
Desire is what drives the bus for every high-achieving woman and female expert. Desire is queen. And with desire, without action, desire is meaningless. So a woman who's a high achiever essentially stealthily applies action to the desire that we feel underneath our belly button.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like, it reminds me, my grandma used to have this saying, faith without works is dead. Like, you need to be doing something. And she instilled that in me. So, and Lizzy, you too. Like, I know you're an action person.
Yeah, I'm addicted to it. I am. I'm addicted, and my biggest pet peeve is not moving forward. Like, let's just get moving. So I totally appreciate that. So high achieving women, what got you into that?
Well, I think that's a great question. And it's pretty involved, but I brought personal training to the state of Montana in 1992 and cultivated the market. And so there were no personal trainers in my state at that time period. And what happened was, because I am a high achieving woman, is that I grew the market over a very short period of time. I was making six figures a year. I was married to my husband, Ken. And essentially what started out is me just saying, hey, you know what? I want to make some money so we can buy a house and have this great life that we dreamed of together. It became a nightmare because I became imprisoned by my business. Mm-hmm. And so what happened was, which is something I hear from most of the women I serve, I'm really great at business, but I'm not so great at relationship. And that was really what I believed. And so I spent a lot of nights feeling empty and lonely and wanting so badly to reach out and to have the relationship that I desired. I didn't know how. So I definitely knew how to grow a business and make a bunch of money, but I didn't know how to cultivate a nourishing, amazing relationship. So I kind of found out the hard way. Hit the wall.
Do you think for these high achieving women, it's harder for us to have that feminine side? If we like the things that make us high achieving, do you think it can stand as a block for, a intimate relationship on a real soft level?
Well, I think that's a good question. I would say no. I think it's personality specific. because every woman is different. I do believe that in the American society, we have been enculturated, and unfortunately, since we've been trying to knock through the glass ceiling, we have believed that we have to show up as men, but that's shifted and changed, I believe, since 2000. Women are now throwing away the stupid blue suit and bringing forward more sexual and beautiful clothing, things that we really feel good about ourselves in. So I would say many women who are millionaires, and some even in the billions, are highly feminine and incredibly amazing. It's just understanding the dynamics of basic communication skills and how to master our boundaries, which is a problem for most women in general, not just high achieving women.
Yeah. Now I've heard of boundary problems before.
Really? I don't have any.
So weird.
Well, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Laura, I'm curious because you said you learned the hard way, so you had to learn how to do it yourself. And what were some of those lessons? Like, what were some of those hard lessons that you had to learn as like a high achieving woman?
Well, what happens is that when one is successful, the other one is successful. And so often my husband, even if your partner is not successful and you are, and you're dragging them around, they're avoiding, you're avoiding. And so now you're like two roommates and we're raising our child together. Okay. And maybe once in a while he would throw me an intimate football, right? We had great sex, but we didn't have a great emotional connection from a feminine standpoint. All right. Well, what I realized later is he felt the same way I did. So I didn't know how to ask. I didn't know how to bridge that gap with my husband. He was involved in the stock market, and that was a 24/7 job for him. I was involved in my business. So what happened was we avoided each other. And at the end of the day, my daughter goes off to college. And then, like most women, I would say, I thought, who the hell am I? Because I defined myself by my business, by my daughter, and had hung on to the footballs of intimacy my husband had thrown me periodically. But I was resentful and unhappy because I hadn't learned how to establish my boundaries, what I needed for me along the way. You see, that's kind of confusing. It's kind of a roundabout answer.
No. It's good. Like, how did you get there? Like, how did you realize? Did you go into a coaching relationship yourself? Like, where were you seeking these answers? Like, how did you come to that realization?
Well, first, I had been waiting a long time to leave my husband because I'd been resentful and lonely. But like so many of us, we wait for our children to leave, right? Even though we're still hooked into our partner. It's weird because I loved him, but I didn't like him. And I don't know if that resonates with some of the women out there. But what happened was I literally had to, come up with a plan B because I knew I couldn't ask for more. I didn't know how, right? So of course, it's always a hero's journey. And what happened was I've stuffed money in a pillowcase. I gave him a bunch of money that he turned like $300,000 that I'd made in my business into 5 and 6 in the stock market. And I'd stuffed $100,000 in a pillowcase, planning on leaving him. And so I come home. I hadn't quite finalized my plan B. I had no idea where the hell I was going to stay. And our daughter's off to college. She's doing well. She's cultivating her own life. And he's sitting in the middle of the living room bawling like a baby. And I'm like, honey, what's going on? And he's crying. He said, well, I lost everything we had today in the stock market. And so in that moment, my husband lost $6 million for, $500,000 that he'd made for me in the stock market. And that was a defining moment that profoundly shifted my life forever. I threw a futon in my car, drove to my office and slept on the floor for a week and continued like we do to pretend like everything was fine. Because after all, I am a famous mind body fitness trainer, right? And I don't want anyone to know the truth. And so, of course, he didn't give me what I wanted, which was he showed up in front of my office, but he would not tell me that he was going to go to therapy with me and change his bad addiction. And I was going to work on my inability to communicate as well as him. I didn't hear that from him. So I ended up spending a week and a half lying to everyone, sleeping on the floor of my office, until I realized that no matter whether I came home to the man or I stayed where I was never going to be fulfilled. There was no man that was ever going to fill the hole inside of me, that I had to fill that myself. Now, up to that point, Isabella, I had been studying with Dr. Deepak Chopra and was a master meditation teacher, you see. And so I went back home, and my husband did start therapy, which was great. And then I began my journey of repair and recovery. And that I began going back to the Chopra Center, to Dr. Deepak Chopra. And of course, still got more education and more learning. And then began to study with some of the greatest minds in our time period, because I am a high achiever. Of course, that had to be the answer.
What do you...
And so, go ahead, Lizzy. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So you decided when you went home that you were going to hell or high water make this marriage work?
No, I decided when I went home that I had to repair myself, because if I had left him at that moment without repairing me, I was really going to be in big trouble. Everything that I had built up to that point, like a house of cards, was going to fall down around me. And this was the foundation that I had built to keep myself safe, you see. And I also knew that if I had still had a soft landing at home, which was my house, the food in my belly, and some sort of semblance of normalcy, I would have a great environment to begin to repair and recover myself, you see. So it didn't happen overnight. And along the way, even though I have a degree in speech communications, right? It's funny, guys, how everybody else can use these things, but you can't somehow. You can teach these things.
Those who cannot do teach, right?
Yeah, you can try to teach your child how to swim. Forget about it. Some kid from the Y will teach them in a heartbeat. Well, yeah. So I really started mastering my communication skills and learning that men have a different kind of brain from women. And once I learned to recognize the difference in terms of communication skills, how to communicate with the man, how to express my feelings, how to identify my feelings, then things shifted pretty fast.
I love that, because I think, very often we leave relationships thinking the relationship is the problem, and then our issues show up in the next one and the next one and the next one. So I like that you stayed and just said, I got to work on me before I do anything else. So sorry, Lizzy, you wanted to.
No, you're good. I'm wondering, okay, so I have relationship issues and I come to you. What do you tell me to do? Like if I'm desperate and I'm at that point where, okay, I don't feel, I feel like it's a survival mode. I'm in survival mode in my relationship, and I come to someone like you, a guru for high achieving women. I'm like, okay, that's me. What do you say to me?
Well, first I need to know what survival mode is for you, because survival mode can mean different things to different women. I mean, is your husband physically abusing you? Is he emotionally abusing you? Did your maid not show up that day to clean your house? I mean, what does this mean to you? Secondly, 99.9% of the women that I see We are high achieving women. We've tried everything within our power to fix the problem. And now we're really confused. So we have to honestly get underneath what is causing the confusion, because the secret lies within what you feel. And that's going to take a little while to unearth your real feelings, because you see, the grown-up shows up in the room first and comes up with all these big words, because that's how we had to present in the world, you see. So I don't tell women anything. And that's the truth. I don't tell you what to do. You're a high-achieving woman, Lizzy. Nobody tells you what to do. You're a female expert. Nobody tells you what to do. That's been part of the problem, is that you've been journaling, you've been running over here, you've been running over there. But the answer is inside of you. And
I just want my husband to tell me what to do. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
He refuses to abuse me. This is really.
I sometimes think it'd be so much easier if he did. You know?
If he would just
then I'd have a good excuse to
leave.
But seriously,
a little choke here and there won't hurt anybody, right?
A little donkey punch.
But we have to look at the truth, right? And the thing is most of the women that I see, because we are very successful women, we're more than likely to not do anything, because it's the rule of the day. Mediocrity, right? So a relationship is mediocre. Well, it's just fine, right? But inside we're starving.
Yeah.
Well, when Jason and I talk about it a lot on the podcast, we were having troubles in our marriage when neither of us wanted to make eye contact with it, because we didn't want to be rejected by the other. We just were terrified. We loved each other very much, and respected each other so much, but we were terrified to be rejected by each other. And it was like one of those things where we finally had to lay it out on the line and be like, okay, we either want this or we don't. And we're going to have to be vulnerable if we're going to move forward at all and start to really enjoy the relationship, especially sexually. You know, it was terrifying. It's terrifying when you don't want to put yourself out there, but you want the end result.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So sometimes connecting to ourselves sexually is a great place to start, because fear of rejection largely can come from a lot of different places. But we can only expect our partner to come up to meet us sexually as far as we can come up to meet ourselves. Right. And it's the same in every arena of our relationship. Fear of rejection has a lot to do with our relationship to ourselves. In fact, mostly not our relationship to the other individual.
Right.
And so the foundation of every relationship begins 100% with our relationship with ourselves. You know, women don't talk enough about sexuality and individual sexuality. So I think that's why in my Accelerate Your Intimacy coaching program, I begin with self-care. And self-care, the foundation is boundaries, and also understanding our own sexuality and how we feel about our relationship with men in general and ourselves.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Laura, and I hope it's okay that I asked, did you stay in the relationship with your husband, or?
Thank you for asking. Yes, because I'm going to share something with you, Isabella. When I met Ken, we were two college kids. I was getting my master's degree, and he was driving me crazy in English literature classes. He was getting his bachelor's, and we were 19 years old. And I love that he played the guitar. He had long hair. He wrote poetry. He had holes in his jeans. We're just two hippie kids. And we really genuinely liked each other. And we had, oh my God, we still have incredible sex. I mean, incredible. And that's something we've always had, even in our darkest moments. But we liked each other. And when we met each other, we didn't have a whole bunch of money, but we had a whole lot of love, even if I didn't know who the hell I was. I had no idea who the hell I was at 19, and he didn't either. And so, yeah, thanks for asking. I think that what I know now for sure is that there were a lot of problems in my relationship with myself. And I honestly didn't know who I really am until I was in my early 50s. So that's a pretty big deal, you know?
That's amazing.
I think that's very common. That's very common. We're not, we're not encouraged by any means to take off and go rogue and be ourselves at 25. We're just not. Like, I think as a culture, we're not encouraged to say, we talk about it, and you said you think that, we should talk more about our sexuality and who we are in general, be encouraged to do that at a young age, but we're not in society at all. So I think a lot of times people get in their 40s and 50s and are like, you know what? Fuck it. I've got to just be myself because I'm failing at being everyone else.
Yeah. And then, of course, I think the level of anger that comes through with that statement is the first thing I see also. And that's really what resonates in the world. So understanding how to speak, when we're having these understandings, when we're unfolding, when we're leaning into who we really are, when we're letting go of all of the positions and possessions and the things that we've adopted to get love, anger comes forward first. And so understanding how to master these emotions and speak them in an emotionally intelligent way that allows a woman to master her environment, her relationship along the way. That's the secret. It really is. And, look, there's no such thing as balance. That is an American concept that's ridiculous. There's no such thing as balance.
Balance is so overrated. It's so overrated. You can't do anything right if you're trying to do everything.
No.
Can't do anything well.
No.
Hey guys, remember to go to We Need Help, the podcast, for all different kinds of stuff like our swag. You can find the episodes. You can find the books that we're focusing on, all the methodologies. Please go to We Need Help, the podcast today, and enjoy the rest of the episode.
So there's a lot of moving parts to this, right? And when we talk about relationship, it's not a linear thing. It's not like, and I think that's why, and I'm going to pick on my people, high achieving women. That's why we think that, I'm great at business, but I stink at relationship, because relationship's not linear. It's not like, okay, I'm a journal and I got it, or I'm going to go take this course with this coach and now I've got it. It doesn't work that way.
It's so annoying that it doesn't work that way, because I'm like, if I do X, Y, Z, I'm going to be successful in my business. And then I try it with my relationship and I'm like, why isn't this working? This is so irritating.
Well, I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow can do it. Why can't we? It's like,
because she can't either.
She's got her own vibrators going.
She's got vaginal rejuvenation going. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So, and Isabella, what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me also. However, guys, one thing for sure, both of you, is that in order for us to master our business, whether it's entrepreneurial or you're working for somebody else and you're climbing the corporate ladder, maybe you're at the top of the food chain, is you definitely have to have great communication skills by our very nature, because we are women. So what do I do with that? Well, I teach women, how do we master the same communication skills that you're utilizing in your business, in your relationship? Plus, guess what? Sometimes we kind of stink at communication skills in our business, but we're making a ton of money. Hey, what happens if you master this piece of your communication skills in your business? You're going to bridge the gap for how you feel at work and at home. You're not going to feel like two different people, right? You take that skill home with you. You see, I hear this often too. I'm great in my marriage. I stink at my business. Doesn't work that way. Yeah. If you'd like to be great at your business, okay, let's take some of these skills and bring them over here. You see?
Right. Right.
And so that kind of
like it's blow job at home, blow job at work. Gotcha.
Right. Exactly. How many, I mean, for me, because I'm, 66, I'm thinking, how many Beatles songs can I sing, and along with, I'm like, come on, hurry up. I heard that from Dr. Ruth. He's like, okay, just go down on him. Just,
solves a lot.
Men are such simple creatures. Like, just simple.
People would be like, oh, I'm not happy in my marriage. I'm always like, have you tried to blow him? Because that actually changes their mood a lot.
Okay, you brought up a good point. I'm just going to add this. I'm sorry, listeners, you probably really are getting too much information here, but
they love it. They love it.
We're all about too much information.
even in my toughest times, guys, and this is really personal. I had a mastectomy. I was having reconstructive surgery. I was 40 years old. I'm laying in bed. I've got tubes coming out of me. I'm scared. I'd been using my body for a living as a personal trainer up to that point, from the time I was, 28. And I felt betrayed and I was scared. Well, my husband's answer to this, he genuinely thought that if he had sex with me, I would feel better about myself. Yeah. Because
you gotta fuck it out.
He does. Yeah.
Fuck it out.
Because that's how he's made. Because if I have sex, I'm better. I feel better.
Yeah. You gotta fuck through it. It's like, I don't know if that's going to solve it, but it's not going to hurt anybody.
Right. And guess what? That was probably very much a part, was very much a part of my relationship boot camp, and what made me a relationship guru for high achieving women is that these are the boxing ring of change and shifts and learning experiences that I've had, along with all the paper I've got on my walls to help women.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to get to know yourself? And then you sort of, I'm assuming that you said, okay, I went through the shift. I got to help others, right? Is that sort of what happened?
I like that you said, how long did it take? Right?
It's still ongoing, I'm assuming.
Because that's like, I'm going to go to the store and buy the wrinkle cream. Now I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So I think that I would say that for me to grow myself up and to learn, who I really am, and to go into what, thank God for Brene Brown, talked about the arena.
Yes, baby.
To be honest with you, that's an ongoing experience for me, because every single woman that I coach, I always have an opportunity to be a better coach, and I get the chance and honestly the blessing to review where I've been and where I'm going and what the next steps are, so that I can continue to show up in a way for my clients that is authentic and open and loving. So I'm always growing. I'm always evolving. I don't think there's a shelf life on this. I'm definitely a better person. And there are things that definitely come up along the way. We can't always pick.
Well, every day and every person that comes into your life is a new opportunity to become better or worse.
Yeah. I say to the women that I coach, make every interaction, no matter what that is, a transaction of increase.
I love
and that's really important, because that's feeds back into bringing your job, your success over here into your success over here. So we're not two different people, you see, This is really important. And we do have moments where we're going to feel disjunctive, like we're two different people. And I always say that's your body mind informing you that, Houston, we got a problem, right? Okay,
Ooh.
it's time to go back to your self-care, like real self-care, not, I think I'll go get a massage.
Yeah. Or getting
Like
your nails
real
done is not,
No. It's like, what do I feel? What brings me pleasure? What brings me contentment? So I would say that the majority of the big work, was really painful for me, Isabella. And I experienced this probably for 20, I would say not probably, definitely for 20 years. Because I was growing myself up along the way. But I suffered, Isabella, so other women don't have to. So the women that
that.
coach with me see results very quickly because we are high achievers. And it gets back to the beginning, ladies, where we say, what drives, I think the question was along the lines of what drives a high achieving woman. And I say it's desire and action, you see? Because when you have the tools, the framework, plus the emotional support to go into the arena with somebody that's been there and actually loves and gives a damn about you, suddenly things change.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the thing that you, like, if I were to come to you single, what would you, and say, I'm longing for intimate, relationship with a man. And like, what's the first thing that you would say to me? As I'm a high achieving person and I want something more and deeper with somebody else, but I can't seem to get it. What do you say?
Well, what's an intimate relationship to you? And what aren't you getting? And what would you love? And tell me a little bit about your history. And what are your limits? What are your personal boundaries like? So there's a lot of questions with that. Okay.
Do you ever hear somebody say, I'm like they're single and they're like, I can't help it. I'm a bitch. I'm always like, well, why don't you just stop being a bitch?
Well, I think that's a good answer. It's a quick one.
Yeah, like, I mean, I know it's like, I don't mean to be like a man, like solving every problem, but like, if you know you have a problem in every relationship, then you should probably not do it anymore.
I would ask her, what put you in a place to be so judgmental of yourself that you would call yourself something as horrible as a bitch? And notice, if you will, that that's a masculine derogatory statement. All right. So let's come back to how she sees herself, because that again comes back to the real problem, which is, who am I?
Yeah. And a lot of times you put that up as a block. That's your armor.
That's the armor. It's almost like, this is who I am. So no one sees that soft.
Yeah. No, I'm a cunt. I'm a cunt. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm a cunt. And like, that's your way of saying, I'm not going to show up the way I want to show up. So I'm already just managing your expectations, right? Even before we go on the first date.
Well, and to be straightforward with you, a woman that talks about herself in that way is not my perfect client. That's not typically, because the women that I also coach are not only high achievers, are highly intelligent and brilliant enough to truly understand their power, because they are making six figures a year in a way that is also establishing an emotionally intelligent foundation. Now, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily emotionally intelligent in our relationships, because we're learning, right? Or that we're necessarily emotionally intelligent in terms of our self-regulation. But I rarely see women that don't have the ability to self-regulate to the point to where they're calling themselves a bitch. That's not typically the women that I serve. The women I serve,
Well, there's many ways to call yourself a bitch, even if you don't use a simple word like that. You could say, I'm all business. I'm all,
Mhm.
I'm this, that, and the other thing. Labeling themselves as the problem is what I'm
Mhm.
saying.
Sure,
And I
sure,
think
I
that
think we
that
do that.
is, an easy way to say it would be a bitch or something like that. But like, we label ourselves out of the gate to manage people's expectations of us, when simply,
Are
if we
you
were
getting
really to
that?
look at it,
Sorry, I
if we were
just got
really to look at it,
I'm sorry. I need to quickly excuse me for a moment.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jason will cut that out for us. Don't worry.
Yeah. Jason.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. But yeah, so I just, I think that that is one of the things that as high achievers, we automatically do to manage people's expectations of us. If we're not willing to really go into the arena
Mhm.
and really be seen, a lot of times we'll put those things up.
Yeah, I guess I haven't. Boy, I'm in the wrong circles.
Or the right circles.
Yeah. I do know a woman in New York, though, that, she's very wealthy and she doesn't present very nice, to people. I saw her brutalize one of her workers. Um, and that's not a person I would invite to coach with me.
Yeah.
I don't invite these women to coach with me that have that sort of affect or energy, because I like working with women that are ready to shift the dynamic and to be in an energetic, the frequency of success in their relationship and in the way that we communicate as well.
Yeah, it's a two-way street, right? So it's not
Yeah,
just a one-way street, right? So that's
yeah.
interesting. You mentioned in the beginning that you have a spiritual approach as well. Can you tell us a little more about that? I'm interested in what that means and how it comes through in the women that you coach.
Thank you. Yes, the foundation of every healthy relationship is mindfulness, mindful living, how we mindfully approach our lives. So, my I'm a meditation teacher, and I studied. I have a couple of certifications from David G. and Deepak Chopra, and so every woman that I coach, I absolutely want for them to begin the practice of meditation on one level or another. That could be mindfulness, it can be yoga, or it could be an actual practice. But all of my clients, we do breath work, we do things in our chair. I love doing, just breath work, using our bodies. We learn how to explore our inner landscape with our eyes closed and what am I feeling?
Mm.
So
We're big time believers in breath work. Big time.
it's really good, isn't it?
And meditation. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And
It is
so
life altering.
yeah, it really is. Well, essentially, it changes the way our mind is wired, and there's a lot of studies on this. It certainly changed my life,
Mhm.
100%. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that the foundation
I
of my coaching is spirituality. Definitely,
I've
definitely.
heard many successful people say that meditation is the one thing that they would recommend over everything,
Mhm.
is starting a meditation practice.
Yeah, I want to say that all every coaching program that I help women with has meditations with it and practices, and right out of the box we start with self-care, because this is the foundation of self-care, and
Okay.
changing our habits, and being responsible for ourselves. That's really
Mhm.
the hardest part about everything, is being responsible for ourselves.
You said mind and body. Do you do nutrition as well?
Yeah, I'm a certified integrative health coach through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And I went back when I turned 60 and I got certified as a hormone specialist in hormone nutrition for women over 50. And that was largely because my ass was getting so big.
Yeah. It's so funny because we were just talking about Izzy going to get her hormones read. I act like it's a tarot card, but like go and get it, like making sure those hormones are on point, because when they're not, we're so messed up. So I know that, especially in like anything after what age do you start managing your hormones? I did about 37, 38, started paying attention to it.
Mhm.
What would you recommend?
Well, we're seeing things happening for women younger and younger, and largely that's because of fast food. It's because of stress. It's because of a lot of things. I would say for a woman to start managing her hormones, ideally, we'd like to start managing our hormones in the minute we have our period. So that would be what, 12, 13, 14, 15. But if we're talking about nutrition and how we manage nutrition based on the biological clock for women, well, I think a really good time to start looking at that is definitely for women in our 40s. Yeah. But I think again that funnels back into what Isabella was talking and asking me about, which was spirituality, is because how we have a relationship with ourselves, and actually understanding what food tastes like, and being mindfully aware. Something as simple, Lizzy, as teaching a woman to taste her food in silence with nobody around for 10 minutes. I've seen that change women's relationships with themselves and their partner. That simple practice.
I will say that is one of my favorite things to do, is to eat by myself.
I know, it's crazy. It's amazing.
What it is.
Without distractions, without like the screens, or just you and the food. Yeah.
Like sitting on a sidewalk cafe, just enjoying a little food just by myself, just watching the world go by, is one of my favorite moments in life. It's like, so good.
Yeah. And so I love what you just said, Lizzy. And that makes a lot of sense. What if you tuned all the people out and you found a corner and you literally just sat there with each bite, you closed your eyes and you tasted your food? And because when we take our time to masticate our food, our body now digests that food in a really powerful way, utilizes those nutrients. So again, when it comes, I want to circle back to what I do as a coach. As a coach, I bring this into every single woman that I coach, 100%, because it's not like we're boxes. We're not. We are like a tangled ball of twine. There's so much to this beautiful thing called the woman, this body, this container, and all of the wonderful, energy inside of it, because we are spirits having a human experience. And then again, connecting, there's no difference between who we are in every moment of our lives, and it's how we accept ourselves in that moment. But something as simple as actually tasting the flavors of food. Now, by the way, you want to connect intimately to your partner, you're going to apply 5 senses to your partner as well as to your food. You're going to taste him, smell him, feel him, hold him in your arms, notice the colors. This is the most powerful work that every woman can do. And look at something as simple as tasting your food. One bite turns into a whole experience.
I think like acknowledging all 5 senses and every single thing you do is very important. You know, in your home.
Virtually impossible.
Yeah. In your home. It's in your home, in your parties, in your, you know, like in any environment that you have. If you do kind of at least try to honor those five senses, it is like amazing. And sixth, if you want intuition.
Yeah. So there you go. And so intuition, now you're absolutely right. That's the six senses, right? It's our connection to source and getting back to God consciousness, getting back to spirituality. There are actually six skills that connect us to spirit, one of which is intuition, the other of which is will. The next one is creativity. You see, there's all these, there's several more, but there's all these connections that connect us to source. And this also becomes the fabric of our lives, and relationships aren't separate from our lives because, you know, we're human beings. We need to be loved, we need to feel supported, and we need relationships, right?
Right.
We need each other.
Absolutely.
But we have to show up for us first. So,
how do people, I know that there's going to be people listening that would like some time with you. How do they get a hold of you?
So you would go to laurabcoaching.com.
Okay.
And you can certainly schedule a call with me. It's laurabcoaching.com.
Wonderful.
That's my website. Also, I have a LinkedIn profile for Laura Bender. It's, I think, relationship coach.
Okay.
So that's where you can find me.
Perfect.
I'm
Awesome.
hanging out on Montana, everybody.
LauraBcoaching.com.
Yeah.
Izzy, you had a question for her about how to experience life with somebody who's depressed.
Oh yeah, I'll get in touch with you actually also separately to maybe work on this, and then we can have you back. I'd be happy to do it. But you know, I feel like I do know myself pretty well, and I've gone through this spiritual journey as well. And I have a partner next to me who's experiencing depression and doesn't seem to want to do anything about it. And I know, like, I do play a role in that. And is that something that you can help with? Is that something that you could, because that's what I'm having trouble navigating here. Like, I love my partner, but I just see that he's suffering and I don't know what to do about it. And he doesn't seem to want to do anything about it. So that's something I'm struggling with. So
yes, I do. Welcome to my relationship.
Okay.
Yes, I most certainly can. And this is very painful for you. It's probably the most painful experience a woman can have, because it's in our very nature to love and have, you know, when we're cognizant and we have empathy for our partner. And it's really painful, especially when they're not willing to help themselves. So, yes.
Yeah. And as a high achiever, you're like, I can fix this, you know, and then it's, you know, you're doing everything under the sun and it's not getting through. And it's just like, and then there's, you know, I was talking to Lizzy before we started, I feel like, all right, I just have to live my life. But then the intimacy, you know, we kind of separate, like he's going this way, I'm going this way. So there's, you know, that's so tough.
Yes. Again, tough doesn't even begin to touch the pain. Okay. So yes, reach out to me 100%. I can help. I have 30 plus years of experience with this one.
Wonderful.
I've helped 50 women through this. Yes. So,
well, and I think that is, as much as it's terrible that you're going through it, I think there's so many people that are going through it. So many. So I think it would be really good for everybody.
Yeah, I'd love to connect with you and go through that journey, and then maybe have you back in a couple months just to talk about that journey. Would be even wonderful.
That would be great, Isabella. And I want to say to you, he doesn't want to do anything about it because he doesn't have to. You're carrying it for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, that's profound.
I see my part in it. Like, I definitely do. And I don't know how to break out of that. I think there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of, I don't know how to not enable certain things. So
It's probably going to start with a boundary, I'm guessing.
Damn it. Why?
Well, first we have to know what our limits are on this one. And on this one, again, it gets back to we want to untangle some things. And I want you to know something. I'm epically familiar with this pain.
Okay.
And I also want to say thank you so much for being so strong and honest and transparent, because this is a big thing. There's no little thing here, honey. This is a very big thing for you. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Aw, no crying. There's no crying.
There's no in baseball.
Aw. Well, I know that you'll get through it as like you, and I know you've got the perfect person to help you. It always comes this way, just exactly this way. The people that are supposed to be here are. And we appreciate you being here, Laura. We really do. You're amazing.
Thank you. And you know what, guys? Everything is a God thing. That's just the truth. So thank you for inviting me, ladies. I love you. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm so excited to hear from all of you. Grab me, get a hold of me. If I can help, I'm certainly here to help.
Oh, thank you, Laura.
Thank you. And we love you too.
We love you, and we'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on We Need Help, the podcast.
Make sure to like, subscribe, like again, our YouTube channel, our Instagram, follow us wherever you can. It really, really helps us out and ensures that you won't miss any future episodes. So, yep, thanks to you, we can keep going.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.